सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। आधाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ज्ञानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। And just like that, before we know it, the first chapter is over. And with that, we see an end to Arjuna's lamentation. What is left? For 10 verses more he can cry, and he can jump up and down, and he can say, I do not want to fight. All these things he can and he is going to say. But these 10 verses are important because he has a great, deep, profound transformation. What kind of transformation? Spiritual transformation. What other kind is there? Whatever other transformation one undergoes, it's always subject to change. But here, there is a point of no return, which everybody experiences in one's life, which people do experience and people see that. I can't go back to the old ways. This is the feeling. I mean, I can, but it's at a great disadvantage, detriment to my health, to my well-being, to my goal in life, and there is a point of no return, which is going to be described in the second chapter as Nishchayatmika Buddhi. A buddhi that is set in its ways about how to go forward, about what I really want. The goal in life is very, very clear. Even in the beginning it was clear, but now it is even more clear to the extent that I am willing to change my sadhana to fit the sadhya, which is the goal. Sadhana, practice, means, sadhya, goal. These two are very important words. So, we saw in the introduction, what did we see? That much of the spiritual anxiety that people feel, or any kind of anxiety that people feel, is because of the sadhana sadhya asambandha, mismatch between what I want in life, goal, and the means that I am following to gain that goal. That is the mismatch. And this is why one keeps going goal instead of going to the goal. Goal means what? Round and round. If you are not aware of how to connect to the goal, you keep going, as we say in Hindi, goal. You keep missing the goal and feeling sad, missing again and feeling sad. A beautiful story is told in the Vedas. This man did not have, night vision. I mean, nobody has night vision, we are not cats. But this man had really bad vision which started to fall at sundown. He could not see very well in twilight. He just could not see. And then what to do? He went to the village fair and somehow took the wrong turn. Ended up in one of the towers of the guard towers of the king's palace. The village fair was right in the palace grounds. So he got lost somewhere and then just ended up there. And then what happened? There's always a sentry, and the guard was there, so he could make the shadowy outline of the guard. And he said, "Brother, please help me. Somehow I have got lost. I don't even know where I am. I'm just going round and round. And I am from this village." Oh, the sentry said, "This is not the way to the village. You are in fact trapped in one of the towers, the watchtowers of the palace. And so what you have to do is, there is an opening on the other side, and then you can get down, then it leads to a staircase, and then it will lead to a quadrangle, and they'll be full of people going home from the fair. You can ask anybody, they'll take you to your village, no problem. They'll just lead you by the hand, it's right there." So he says, "I don't know how to go." He says, "I have an idea." And he takes the man to the wall, puts both his hands on the wall. And he said, "Do not take the hands off the wall. Keep going like this. And suddenly when you have run out of wall, no more wall, then that means there is an opening. And then you can get down and go." And the sentry was just standing there keeping guard. Half an hour goes by, the same man comes back, doesn't even recognize the sentry. "Hello, dear sir, I am lost," repeats the whole story. "I would like to find the way to go home, and I am belonging to such and such a village." Sentry says, "You again? How did this happen? I myself put the hands on the wall and told you to just feel and go, and when there is no more wall, that means you just look for the staircase and go down. What happened?" "I don't know." "Did you take the hands ever off the wall?" "Well, no. Yes, I did, because I had a back scratch. My back started to itch. So I gave myself a good scratch with both hands, but kept on walking." And so in that time the opening was missed. This is how one goes round and round. Missed opportunities, missed openings, missed ability to just connect to what one really wants, and missing the role of the buddhi here as an agent that clinches it, the one that says, this is exactly what I want and I'm willing to do anything to gain this. So that this, so Arjuna goes round and round all over the place, his arguments are, and in the next 9 verses we will see more arguments about why this war should not be fought. Okay, it's too late to cancel the war because the war cry is already going on. So what can be cancelled? I will cancel myself. This is his solution. So just like any other person in the world, what do they do? They go all over the place and then finally come to the conclusion. What is the conclusion? Nothing I am doing is working. Right about now, an ashram sounds good. Guru sounds good. So because whatever I have tried is just landing me even in a bigger soup. What to do? And so therefore this is what is talked about in chapter 2. That's not the only topic, that's one of the topics, and the topic that is most pertinent to us. As we move forward, I will map out the chapter, but since it has 72 verses, double of what the last chapter had, I don't want to map it all out in the beginning because it will make no sense. As we go, we will map out the verses and what the verses say and how to understand this. So with these words, let us get into the chapter. Verses number 1 to 9 are the continuation of Arjuna's agony, which grows from bad to worse, and the realization of Arjuna that nothing in this whole world is working at all. Whatever I have tried and whatever I continue to try, what is happening? It's making matters worse. Some kind of a lasting solution I need, and I do not have any way of finding that out. This is the metamorphosis, a total change undergone by Arjuna in verses 1 to 9, where he understands I need help. And for a warrior like him to admit he needs help would be a sign of weakness. But no, really speaking, when we admit we need help, it is a sign of great intelligence. To understand that one needs help is a great sign of intelligence. And the setup in the universe is such that when you need help, help is at hand. Because when you need help, and you understand you need help and you pray for that help, help is at hand. Why? Because you need not have prayed. You could have gone and robbed a bank. You could have helped yourself in that way to somebody else's money, somebody else's property, and made yourself, very resourceful. But you did not do that. You asked for help, and in the asking itself, there is a transformation. And that's what the first 9 verses are about. This chapter also introduces us to the other meter in which the Bhagavad Gita is chanted. The one that we have been chanting is called Anushtup. 8, 8, 8, 8 syllables. Okay? And then there is a lot of leeway for the arrangement of the syllables. You can have an iambic pattern in prosody, or you can have a dactyl, you can have different combinations. Certain things are not allowed, but then short, long, guru, laghu, like this. It is all allowed, certain combinations are allowed. A very easy meter. Even you can start composing after you know a little more Sanskrit. You can also start composing small things. And this is called Anushtup. And the other one is 4 lines of 12 verses each. And that one is called Trishtup. Trishtup or Trishtup. So Trishtup, this is the other one, the other kind of a meter with which we will become familiar. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Vyasa uses this meter whenever you need to wake up. Which doesn't mean you should be sleeping when Anushtup is chanted, okay? But in case it is lulling one and one is just like ya. What? Okay, I have to wake up. This is a little bit of a change. And it is used sparingly and at certain very monumental places in the Bhagavad Gita and all throughout the 11th chapter, as we will see. So this is verses 1 to 9. All right. Sanjaya Uvacha. Before that, let us begin in the traditional way. Om Adhadvitiyo Dhyayah. Sanjaya Uvacha. Tantatha kripaya vishtam. Ashrupunakulekshanam Vishidantamidam vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Vishame samupasthitam Anarya jushtamasvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna Daivyam asmagamah partha Naitattvayupapadyate Shudram hridaya daurbalyam Tyagvotishta parantapa Sanjaya Uvacha. We are reminded that there is a narrator and this narration is going on in case we forgot from the last time. So Sanjaya Uvacha, it ended with Sanjaya Uvacha, but this is giving a Sangati, a connection. So we are reminded, narrator is still there, this is still happening in third person and this is still being reported to Dhritarashtra. And so, Uvacha Madhusudanaha. Second line, last 2 words. Madhusudanaha, the one who, what is that? Killed an asura, a demon called Madhu. Why was he called Madhu? Very sweet, like honey. Honeyed asura. Honey like asura. And it's very interesting. The ahankara is called Madhu. Atma is also called Madhu. But the confusion between Atma and Ahankara, not Madhu, not nice at all. In the Kathopanishad, there is a very nice verse. Yai madhvadam veda atmanam jivamantika ishano bhuta bhavyasya natato vijugupsate etad vaitad. Beautiful verse. The one who knows the Atma, Atmanam yaha imam veda. Antikat Veda, knows it very intimately. As what? Madhvadam, as the truth, the content of the Ahankara. Madhu Atti. Atti means eats. Atti iti adaha. Madhu Atti iti Madhvadaha. There is one more sandhi. If you promise not to leave the room. Madhu, U, okay? Plus Ati, U plus A, Va. Madhvadam, Madhvada, Madhu, Ada. Madhu plus Adaha, Madhvadaha. Can you say that? Madhvadaha. Yes, very good. So that is here. It is not Madhu Adaha, Madhvadaha. Okay? And so this is the Ahankara. Madhu Atti iti Madhvadaha. The one who is always looking for, hunting for experiences, comfortable situations, wonderful experiences. That is the Ahankara. And then this Ahankara is meant to bend, surrender, do Sashtanga Namaskara to the Pramana, that is the Vedanta. That is in the form of words handled by a teacher. And then what happens? It disappears, leaving in its wake the Atma. So the truth of the Ahankara is the Atma, and Jivam, the very life force, is this Atma, the one who knows, Antikat, very closely. Ishanaha Bhuta Bhavyasya. Ishanaha, Ishvara. Ishvara of the past and the future. And of course, by extension, the present as well. Ishvara, the timeless Ishvara, Ishvara of all time. Ishvara that is free of time, the one who knows the Atma as the truth of the ego on the Jiva's side, and as the truth of Ishvara, the timeless consciousness, the one who knows oneself as Ishvara. Then, na tataha vijugupsate. What is vijugupsate? The root verb is gup, to hide, here to protect. Kadaschit upaidum ichhati. Does not want to protect oneself from anything because one is free. It's only the presence, the strong presence of the Ahankara divesting itself from Atma, divesting itself from everything that is sustaining it. Any kind of connection with Ishvara, with the Jagat, with other Jivas, disconnection. That is what is the cause of sorrow. But here, the one that knows everything as one, and the Ahankara basically lies down to recognize itself as Ishvara. So there also the word Madhu is given in the Kathopanishad, very beautiful verse it is. And here also Sanjaya himself addresses Lord Krishna as Madhusudana, the killer of the Asura called the Ahankara. Me, my, I did it. That's the one. And so then this is talked about again. Arjuna had also referred to him as that. He also refers as that. And he says, Madhusudanaha Uvacha. Sanjaya reports. So, Uvacha means said. Lord Krishna said. Said unto whom? Tam. Sahatavte tam. Tam means him. Tam is him. Said unto him. Who is the him? Who was Arjuna talking, Krishna talking to?
Arjuna.
And what kind of Arjuna is given in 3 adjectives. And they all end in to rhyme with tam. So you know they are in apposition, in the same gender, number and case. Okay? Tam tadha kripitam. Unto him. Unto whom? Arjuna. What kind of Arjuna? Kripaya Vishtam. Helpless by a misplaced sense of compassion. Unto him who was under the spell of a misplaced bout of compassion. Very misplaced. Ashru Purna Kulekshanam. Ashru, tears. Purna, full. Therefore, Ashru Purna means full of tears. See how easy Sanskrit is? Yeah. Akula, agitated. Ikshanam, look. So the one whose glance was full of tears and agitated. The one whose glance was agitated and filled with tears. Unto him who had a misplaced sense of, was suffering from a misplaced sense of compassion. One, unto him whose eyes were filled with tears and who they were darting from side to side, perhaps the eyeballs, and they were just could see the agony and the agitation in the eyes. And then one more, Vishidantam. Unto him who was sorrowful, full of sorrow. Vishada, sorrow. Vishidantam. And then what did he say? Idam Vakyam. These sentences were said. And then it says, so these sentences were said. So this is just Sanjaya report. Sanjaya paints a wonderful picture because Dhritarashtra cannot see. So now even if you close your eyes and then hear this description, eyes were filled with tears and the glance was full of affliction and agitation. And he who was totally sorrowful from head to toe. And then unto him who was what? Kripaya Vishtaha. Unto him who was completely engulfed by a wrong sense of compassion. This is very visually evoking. If you close your eyes and listen to this description, you are almost seeing Arjuna trembling, quivering, and feeling upset, sitting in his chariot, moping, crying. Eyes are bright with unshed tears. Tears can come for 3 reasons. One, there is some kind of an irritant, something in the air, some little, particle, dust particle, something. Then the eyes fill up with tears. Again, in the same way, if you are sick, the eyes fill up with tears. And what is the second reason? If you are happy, you are ecstatic, and you can't hold the emotions, the eyes fill up with tears, even though you are not sad. Then, what else? Sad. The eyes fill up with tears. Very, very sad. So the first 2 we can rule out for Arjuna easily, correct? In those days there was no pollution, very little pollution, so dust particles wouldn't have been there. We can argue, so that is not why his eyes were full of tears. And he has himself described himself as sad. So he was not happy. So the third reason why the eyes are filling up with tears is a way of not being able to hold in the sorrow. You see, he vented for 1 hour, okay, 1 whole chapter. More than 1 hour. How many hours we spent on the one chapter, first chapter? That many hours. Okay? 3 weeks, right? Yeah. So 21 hours he cried. And Lord Krishna just listened deeply. This is how perhaps therapists understood how to listen. Perhaps if they don't know, they need to study the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where a whole chapter is given to the person who is saying wrong things. All this is going to be refuted in the second chapter. His position is itself wrong. And he is not thinking clearly. He is confused. And he is apahata. His heart is taken away by a misplaced sense of closeness and love. And this vajana, my own people argument. Totally. Well, how he is regarding them as his own people when Duryodhana has no problem saying that you are somebody other than me. You don't belong to me. But still, this is this kind of a one-sided, unrequited love. Unrequited means a love that is not returned. There is nothing sorrier than that, really, in the world. That's what Hindi movies are made up of. Okay? And Bollywood. And so, it may sell tickets and it may be entertaining or cathartic to go see somebody else's sorrow. But to be caught in that kind of a sorrow is the worst possible emotional state. And unfortunately, Arjuna is finding himself in this emotional state. Not a word passes through Lord Krishna's lips. Quietly he listens. If we had been there listening to Arjuna, what would we have done? It's anybody's imagination. We said, doesn't matter. Let me give you something to eat. Here, eat this. Today there was bhandara. Jalebis are there. Jalebis are those orange squiggly things. Okay? Yeah. So those orange squiggly things are there. Eat this, you will feel better. Or we would have given advice. So what did you come on, do this, do that. Yeah, you're in a hard place. And then you can hide in my house if you want. I will not give you away. All these kinds of advice we would have given. Or we would have said it is wrong to, it is a dereliction of duty to run away from the war. What are you doing? Stay here, don't go. We would have just given advice. Based on our own predicament and our own outlook, we would have given advice. Anybody can give advice. Nobody is short of advice, especially in India. Everybody not only gives advice, but gives philosophical, lofty advice. Without actually following it, people give lofty advice. Once I was at a interfaith, what is that called? Conference, meeting, gathering. And so somebody said, do you have a pope? I said, no. I said, every Hindu is a pope, I said. Because whatever we know of our religion, we pontificate. We love to talk about it. In fact, every grandma is a pope, every grandpa is a pope. We don't have one pope, I said. In every house there is a pope. And so, we would have given advice, we would have given lofty philosophy, we would have given him justifications, and we would have tried to quell, we would have said, don't cry, which is the worst thing you can tell somebody who's crying. Yeah, and same thing, if somebody is angry, you say, don't be angry, they're going to bite your head off. Okay? Yeah. So, therefore, we learn how to listen. How to listen to somebody, because he looked upon Krishna not as a therapist, not as a doctor. He came to Krishna as a friend. And as a friend, to listen so deeply without one's own agenda, without trying to fix the situation, without trying to give advice, and without trying to identify with the other person's distress. These are the three main problems in our everyday listening that people find. Either one tries to fix the situation, or one tries to give advice. Do this, do that, don't do this. or worse, one identifies with the distress. So one more possible reaction to Arjuna's lamenting about his fate would have been for somebody to say, yeah, you are having a real difficulty. Even in my house we have these wars. Even in my house there is a Duryodhana. Even in my house there is difficult situations. Then what are you doing when you say that? This is nothing. My house is, you should see the Mahabharata in my house. This is nothing. If you say that, what is happening in this situation? Is it offering the other person comfort? No. And why it is not offering the other person's comfort? Because you have taken the attention from her or him and put it on yourself. Me, listen to me, look at my problem. And so that's not going to work. But Arjuna doesn't do any of these three everyday reactions that people have to listening to their friends or any confidants. So Lord Krishna does not fall into any of those categories. He simply listens deeply without trying to fix it, without trying to have an agenda. That's why Arjuna feels safe enough to cry. Safe enough to cry. And then this one Sanjaya, reporting and narrating further, says that this kind of an Arjuna was addressed by Bhagavad. So when he ran out of words, when he had nothing to say, and he just had tears in his eyes, the Lord intervened. Kutastva Kashmarveda, Vishame Samapasthitam, Anarya Jushtamaswaryam, Akirtikaram Arjuna. See, it needs no translation. This was like a wake up talk. I can't call it a pep talk because it's actually a scolding. He scolds him. Kutastva Kashmalam. Kashmala, where is this bitterness? Kashmala, bitterness, Kashmala, agony, Kashmala, difficulty. Where is all this coming from? Kutaha, samupasthitam. How did this arrive? Where did it come from? Vishame. Vishame means in this crisis-ridden situation on the brink of the war, how did you go to this place? How have you led yourself here, Arjuna? Anarya Jushta. Arya, noble. Noble means what? Not Aryan, okay? That I don't know what Aryan means, alright? Find out from the people who coined that word. Okay, we don't have Aryan. Arya or Arya, feminine. Arya means noble. What is the definition of noble? The one who has Arjava, Rijubhava, the one who has alignment between thought, speech and deed. What they think is in alignment with what they say, and what they say is in alignment with how they act. This is very, very important to be called a noble person in India, because it's all about the given word. We have seen how the whole Ramayana is about one promise. Mahabharata is also a series of promises. Bhishma's promise never to marry. And then what else? This one's promise. Kunti's promise. Promise me you will share whatever you got. It's all about the given word. Because once you give the word, you have to be true to that. That is Arya. The one who is noble, who qualifies to have the title of noble, is the one who is able to be a righteous person, a dharmic person. And how are you going to be a dharmic person if you can't even keep your word? You took some money from me. When are you going to give it? Tomorrow. Tomorrow you ask. Tomorrow. Why? Tomorrow never comes. Or make some excuse. Yes, I'll come to your house tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and goes. No sign of the person. And then after that what? Oh, I had something to do. I had to go here. I had to go there. Something happened. Something else. And, not possible. This is not Arya. And in a similar way, Arjuna having agreed to fight. Did he agree to fight or not? Say yes, so we can move on. Yeah. Did he agree to fight? Yes. Did he or did he not blow his conch shell? Yes. What is the name of the conch shell? Panchajanya. Okay. So Panchajanya he blew. Did he not blow? In response to Bhishma's war cry? Yes. And was he not collecting arms and armaments for the last 12 years in the forest? Yes. Was he not bloodthirsty all this time, waiting, chafing to get at them? He was literally wanting a liter of Dushasana's blood drawn from his thigh of all places. Because he beckoned to Draupadi and patted his thigh, indicating that she should come and sit on his lap. And Draupadi said, I'm not going to comb my hair until you get me a hair oil infused with his blood drawn from his thigh. All this time he could have said no. He was keeping on chanting the mantra to keep the powder dry, to keep the missiles in good shape. These days, smart bombs, they are nothing. Those were mantra-powered missiles. Those would just go and kill the person for whom it was meant, chasing them to the ends of the earth. They were like that. He did all that. He had 12 years and 1 year. He was just sitting. He was improving his, what is that called, his art. He was dancing. He was singing. He was teaching the ladies in the palace. He was painting. He could have said, I'm dropping this war. I'm going to the forest. I have met a lot of sadhus. He could have met a lot of sadhus. You know what he did? Each one he fell at the feet and said, bless me so that I win this war. The war was the only thing on his mind. So suddenly to have this change of heart and to say it's not really a change of heart, a change of mind, and to say I'm not going to fight after the war has been arranged, the battle cry has been given, the kettle drums are still blaring, megaphones, kettle drums, trumpets of all kinds, cymbals, everything. It's a war cry. War is starting. And at that point to feel the jitters, and it's okay one feels nervous, but at that time to decide all these philosophical reasons why to not fight the war is the wrong time, wrong place, wrong decision by a wrong warrior. If he had been a foot soldier in one of the Akshauhinis, and slowly he backpedals and backtracks and runs off, gone, nobody would care. Nobody even perhaps knew his name. Chale gaya, gone. Nobody cares. Why one person missing? Nobody knows. Nobody cares. And then he moved to another kingdom so that he would not, not be caught by the palace guards and court-martialed. So he just moved to some other kingdom and lived as a blacksmith or some fruit picker or something, farmer or something like that. That's a possibility. But Arjuna is the wrong person to make this kind of a decision. Why? He is famous. When famous people do things, everybody else follows. The third chapter, in the third chapter, Lord Krishna is going to tell us this. Yadyad acharati shrestha tattadevetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Shrestha, important people in society. When the important people in society take a stand, then everybody else follows. These days they follow on Twitter. Okay? Yeah, that's the only difference. And then something goes viral. So if you put one tweet saying, I am studying 6-month course in Rishikesh, big deal, nobody will even look at it. I am a student of Vedanta. This is the best thing that happened to me. You put on Facebook, nobody will see the face of that. And you put it on Twitter, nobody will see. But if King Charles comes to Svatmavidyananda ashram, King Charles the third, right? Third one? Yeah. King Charles the third comes to Svatmavidyananda ashram and comes and listens to a Vedanta class. What would happen? Everybody would come. Not for Vedanta, to see King Charles at first. And then if he said this was a very good experience and he really felt wonderful and he was enlightened by even the one talk he attended, then what would happen? Everybody would come. Ashram would have, the kitchen would be very busy, would have to cook more food, and then would need another round of cleaning. That's an inside joke. Anyway, so then this is how it goes. Arjuna is like King Charles. He's famous. He's famous all over the kingdom. He's ambidextrous. He can shoot off the arrow with the left hand, with the right hand, with the left leg, with the right leg. He can shoot the arrow blindfolded. You put him in Shirshasana, headstand, and ask him to shoot the arrow, he can oblige. This is him. And he has developed lot of arsenal. Plus, unlike some other people who are also popular because they are nefarious, they are more like, they are not famous, they are infamous, like Hitler, etc. Arjuna was a very mild-mannered, dharmic person, as described in the Mahabharata. Extremely righteous and a very, very down-to-earth and pleasant fellow, as we are seeing from this. He doesn't hide his questions. There is no, as we will see, as he asks more and more questions, we are relieved that he is asking so that we don't have to ask. We wonder how he can put himself in this kind of a situation and ask the same question again and again without any feeling, of shame or anything. But he is very innocent. He doesn't know, so he asks. With Arjuna, what you see is what you get. And he was dearly, dearly loved. We have to understand the background of who Arjuna is to understand Lord Krishna's scolding. Anarya. Anarya Jushtam. Jushtam, Anarya, not ignoble. The noble and the opposite of noble is what? Ignoble. Ignoble. We don't say unnoble, ignoble. Anarya, ignoble. So, Jushtam means befitting. Anarya Jushtam, na Arya Jushtam. Not befitting Arya. Not befitting a noble person, a dharmic person, a famous person like you. And then it is this behavior, your conduct really needs a makeover, a total makeover. Your conduct needs a total makeover. Why? Because you're not behaving as you should. You're not some kind of a small fry. Your decision matters not just for you, but the morale of the whole army is depending upon your decision. How can you do this, Arjuna? If you had cried in the last 12 years, I would have given you my Angavastram. Here, I would have wiped your tears myself. But this is not the place to cry. This is not the place to balk. This is not the place to stop. This is the wrong decision at the wrong time by a wrong person. So on all three counts, wrong. You are the wrong person to make a decision, because on your decision depends the loss or the victory of the war. You are making this decision at the wrong time, because right now the war has already been declared. You have plenty of time to think this over, and what were you doing all that time? Eating bananas. That's all you were doing. You were not the least bit interested in peace. Suddenly you have become Gandhiji. I mean, he didn't say that, but he may as well. Suddenly you want to have non-violence, ahimsa, dharma, all these. Your selective reading of dharma you are propagating. Wrong decision, wrong person, wrong time, because now it is too late. The war has already been declared. And you have taken a vow to protect. That is your swadharma, to protect people. You are a warrior. And so this is the wrong decision. Where did this Kashmala come? Kashmala is onomatopoeic. Means it's exactly as it sounds, even if you don't know the meaning. Kashmala, yeah. You can't think it's if you say Kashmala, you can't imagine that it will be like chocolate cake or some nice dessert. No. It looks something disgusting, and that's really what it is. Where did all this sludge of emotions, this stagnant sludge of emotions come from? Where did they come from? Anarya Dushtam, not befitting a warrior, a noble warrior like you. Asvargyam. Asvargyam means this is not going to lead you to heaven. Let me write it down on a piece of stamped paper and sign, seal and give it to you. Why? Because his whole argument in the first chapter is Narake niyatam vasaha bhavati iti anushruma aho vat mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yatracha sukhalomena antum swajanam udyataha. I'm going to hell. I live in Naraka. I'm having Papa. It's going to lead me to hell, he says. Veda has heaven and hell. In fact, perhaps it's the first book to have heaven and hell. In fact, we have 7 of each, which Swamiji used to call them 7 up, 7 down. 7 kinds of pleasant experiences, parallel universes of pleasant experiences, and 7 kinds of unpleasant experiences. You can go to any of those places. In fact, if you fight this war, you're not going to go to Naraka because you're doing the right thing. He's going to say them later. He's going to say this later. Hadova prapsyasi swargam. If you are killed in the war, you will die an honorable death, and then you will go to heaven because you have been killed in the line of what you were supposed to do, killed in the line of duty. Jitva va mokshase mahim. If you survive and win this war, you will get your kingdom back and all the other glories. He's going to say this later. But now he says, this is asvargyam. Your thinking, your head is on backwards, Arjuna. You think by not fighting this war, you will go to heaven. You will not go to heaven. If you do a dereliction of duty, heaven is not the place where you are going to go. Dereliction of duty leads not to heaven. leads you to the other place. You have 7 areas to choose from. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Dharatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Padala. 7 kinds of hells are there. This is not going to lead you to heaven. And then Akirtikaram. Even Akirtikaram means it is not going to add to your already long and illustrious reputation. Kirti means reputation, fame. It's not going to add to your reputation. Akirtikaram, in fact, it's going to drag you from your name. What are you going to leave behind? Whether you die in this war or whether you die 50 years from now, what are you going to leave behind other than your name? And people will remember you as what? People will remember you as the man that ran away, Arjuna that ran away. They will print in the newspaper, trembling Arjuna flees. This is in big dark headlines, it will be there. And Duryodhana controls the press anyway. He will press the press to make you look very bad. He will make the press write bad articles about you, so that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, all of the people, your descendants, will look at your name and spit at you. He is going to elaborate on that further in the next few words in the middle of this chapter. All the people are going to spit on you. Your contemporaries, your descendants, everybody. And Duryodhana is not going to keep quiet. He is going to add garam masala to whatever the story is. He is going to say, this is how he ran. He was scared. Nobody will understand your concept of sacrificing yourself and being unarmed and being killed or running away. Nobody is going to understand that. For a warrior, sacrifice is getting killed in the line of duty while fighting. No other sacrifice is possible. So if you give yourself up and if you are going to put the Gandiva to one side and then let the arrows of the enemy consume you, then think you are the greatest fool and that you have lost your nerve. That's what Duryodhana is going to think. And that's what he is going to spread all over. Look at the consequences of this war. If you are not there and if you decide to withdraw at this point. Furthermore, why just Duryodhana? Even the foot soldiers will say, I looked at him like this menacingly, I twirled my moustache and he ran. That is what they are going to say. And each one is going to say, make up stories. Akirtikara, your reputation is going to go to the dogs. Your reputation is going to be like a little piece of bone, which is being fought for by 2-3 dogs at once. It's just, the reputation is going to go to dust. It will just become dust. Anarya Jushtam Aswaryam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Further he says, Klaimyam Masmagamaf Partha. Do not yield to Kliba-ness. Kliba means the one who is neither a man nor a woman. Non-binary, perhaps they say in this current age, transgender, non-binary, or we can say in the middle of transitioning from man to woman or woman to man, hasn't quite figured out how to behave. That is what Arjuna is behaving like. Because if somebody is born as a woman, they'll have their own way of fighting, they'll have their own way of talking. If somebody is born in a male body, they'll have their own way of fighting, talking and engaging. But here is a person who is confused, who is not able, who still has to learn certain mannerisms perhaps, who is not able to make that transition and act appropriately. Do not give way to a certain kind of an unmanliness which is not becoming of you. And again, this is not to insult women. It means you are neither behaving like a man nor behaving like a woman. You are confused. Na etatvai upapadyate. This does not become you at all. I have known you all my life, Arjuna. Not a single day you have behaved like this. What has gotten into you now? Kshudram, this smallness. Hridaya daurbalya, the weakness in the heart that has developed. It's not a literal weakness, okay? Yeah. Don't think it is arrhythmia or heart murmur. No, nothing like that. It's a emotional weakness, figurative weakness in the heart which has developed. Tyaktva, cast this aside, cast this weak heart aside. Uttishta, get up from this chariot. Parantapa, param tapayati. You, the scorcher of enemies. You just have to look at the enemies and they start to feel hot. They want a little personal fan. They start to feel hot because the gaze is like a laser beam gaze and you are making them just melt with your gaze. What happened to you? He calls him Parantapa at the end to boost his morale and his confidence. He calls him Partha at the beginning of the verse to say, don't be like a mummy's boy. Prithayaha putraha Partha. And we will see that he deploys certain epithets for Arjuna in keeping with the situation. Whenever he calls him Kaunteya or Partha, he is saying, don't be a mummy's boy. We will see this later on. And later he finishes it off with Parantapa. More we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari